Today we're going to be talking about a subject that I think is extremely important and doesn't get talked about as much as it should. We're going to call this episode, Thou Shalt Not Steal. And I'm not talking about personal items, the VCR or anything like that. We're talking about innocence. Someone's innocence is being stolen daily. And a lot of times it's a family member, somebody that's close to you. Not many people want to talk about it, but I have Miss Athena Costner here who's going to share testimony. How are you doing today,
I'm
ma'am?
great. How are you?
I'm doing great.
That's
now,
good.
I'm going to ask you this question because I feel like it needs to be asked because a lot of people, like I said, don't want to speak about this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of anger. And it's a lot of times when it's family members, people that are close, you don't want to put a lot of that information out.
Of course.
But I think that, first of all, I give you kudos to be able to share this information because it's a lot of people out there that aren't able to hear that they're not alone, that or don't want to reveal it to somebody because they're ashamed because they haven't heard it anywhere else. But first off, kudos and thank you so much for coming on the VAdio Show to share this. I've got to ask you, what made you want to share your story?
It was a child that was that needed someone to talk to,
Okay.
but a child that was scared to talk. So me actually talking with the child and sharing my story helped the child to talk.
Gotcha.
And that's where it started from there. That's where I started actually getting counseling and talking more about it because I had never had any type of help myself. So
Yeah.
So-
What goes through your head after this happens? I'm sure it's something that you think about a lot, you know. What makes you feel like you need to keep it to yourself?
Well, it makes you feel inferior. It lower than the most, lower than men, lower than women even, and it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
And it also makes you feel ashamed.
Yeah.
Although it's something that's not your fault, it makes you feel ashamed. Like you can't let nobody know what happened to you because then they're gonna look at you funny, like you're weird or you're different. So you go through a lot. Stress, anxiety, panic attacks, not trusting.
Wow.
So it's hard to say what goes through your head because everybody has something that actually has something different they're going through. Me, myself, I could say there was bad dreams, not sleeping with doors open. I mean, even bathroom door has to be closed. Closet doors have to be closed because you just don't feel safe with a door open.
You've been violating. Like I said, it's not personal things that's stolen. It's your innocence. So
Yeah.
Therefore, that's something that you can't get back. Once
Yeah.
that's taken,
Of course,
it's
yeah.
gone. So I don't know how much you want to share of this, but could you tell me what happened, how it happened, and how everything transpired?
Well, the first time I was around 4 or 5,
Wow.
I had to perform oral sex to be able to eat snacks.
Wow. Is this a family member? Is this a friend?
Yes, family member. I don't know if you remember, I was sitting down talking with a friend, and you know how you sit back and you say, do you remember this back in the day? The old Pepsi cans, the old chip bag, potato Lays, plain chip bags, how they looked and how things have changed nowadays. Well, they asked me, did I remember the old Cheeto can? Remember they came in a long sphere can? That was the snack that I had to perform oral sex for.
Wow.
So that memory when we were talking about that wasn't something to be like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Right.
It kind of just put me in a down spirit.
You don't want to be taken back.
Yeah, I don't want to think about Cheetos.
Yeah.
The second time, with a second person, started at the age of 8.
Family member as well?
Yes. That
Different
lasted
family member.
7 years. I went to an adult figure that was supposed to be a guardian and spoke with her about it, but I was kind of told not to talk about it. Kind of told to, we asked him, he said he didn't, so don't tell nobody else. And that
So they didn't really deal with it, they just asked him and...
Yeah, so that was all I heard about it. And it was hard because this was a violent family member that did a lot of things to me and my other siblings. So it was kind of scary.
Yeah.
And for a while, maybe about like a couple weeks, not a while, I didn't see no more. But when he came back, it was, you know, I had to deal with the questions of why did you tell them? And if you don't do this again, I'm going to hurt your sister. So the only time that I felt like a superior is when I was taking care of my sister. She was my baby, and I felt very powerful over her.
Yeah.
So I would do anything to make sure she's safe. So I didn't say nothing else. I just kept it a secret and just let it go on all the way till I was 15. And the only reason it stopped then was my sister caught him. So she told.
And they believed.
And they believed. And that hurt because it's like, what made it,
Yeah.
you know, why didn't you believe me? Why wasn't I important enough to be taken serious when I told you something was going on?
Does that take part in also telling your story? Because that's got to be a deep scar when you. My first time trying to reveal it is to get some help from a family member. So did that make a big part of you not wanting to tell it anymore? Yeah.
And I just kind of shut it out. Then, you know, I just was like, I'll never talk. I became a mother. So I always raised my kids that, you know, if something happened to you all, you tell me. And I'm always going to believe anything that they tell me.
Right.
Because
you've been there.
Yeah, because I don't ever want them to feel how I felt. I don't ever want them to feel like, well, you didn't take us serious. Not being able to talk about it, well, let me say the first time talking about it, it was a big relief. But then I didn't know how stressed out I was until I actually spoke about it.
Okay.
Because I was diagnosed with a stress disease. It's called Crohn's disease. It attacks your digestive system. I had 21 ulcers, a hiatal hernia, all of this from stress. Panic attacks, anxiety attacks, same thing. I couldn't be surrounded by people.
Yeah.
Couldn't have people behind me, or I just couldn't breathe if they were behind me.
So this is all connected to the abuse. Wow.
I didn't know how bad I really was. Even though I was blocking it out, I was really stressed out. I was on 26 different pills a day.
At what age?
At the age of 25.
Wow.
That's when I started the pills, just to be able to have a normal life.
Yeah.
To be able to breathe right, to be able to eat and not get sick, to be able to sleep at night.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, there's times where I don't go to sleep. I'm up like a zombie, and I don't even know why I'm up like that. I want to sleep, but I can't sleep. Can't close my eyes. I close my eyes, I see him.
Yeah.
I close my eyes, I have nightmares. And that's just, I mean, it's a hard thing to
even explain, I'm sure.
It is.
There's a lot of, when it comes to sex in general, that's a sacred thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of emotions and things that are attached to that.
Yeah.
And when it's had in a terrible way, I'm sure that throws that whole, mentally it throws things off. You know?
I started researching when I was a little bit younger, because there was times where I would think about it. I just wanted to know, why was I a certain way? It was in my early 20s. There was times where I would just, if this is what a man wanted, okay. Because that's what I thought.
Right.
How my life was supposed to be, because nobody did anything about when things happened to me.
Right.
So I had to, it's like I started thinking about, I didn't love myself. So I had to teach myself how to love myself, which is really hard.
You're figuring this all out on your own.
On my
Nobody gave
own.
you a proper blueprint.
Nobody said, you know, let's talk about what's going on. Nobody said, do you want to get counseling? Nobody said you have to love yourself first.
Yeah.
I taught myself all of that. And it has put a strain on any type of relationship, because my trust has always been tainted.
Yeah.
So why would I trust anybody that comes along that I just met?
No, I can understand that.
I mean, even to the point where my kids, you know, they just met my fiance, but it took 8 years for them to meet a man.
Wow.
So I want to make sure that you're right before I bring you in their life.
I can understand that.
You know, paranoid about every little thing. And I don't like being that way. I took myself from being on all type of medicines to doing everything the natural way.
Yeah.
learning how to meditate and just teaching myself how to breathe easy when I have panic attacks and stuff like that. And teaching myself that everybody deserves a chance to be trusted.
Yeah.
Which is hard because, you know, I just looked at flesh as evil. Yeah,
but I'm going to tell you, I mean, especially hearing what you've gone through and knowing many other people that have gone through those things, and sometimes even worse, I see us as kind of like a business. There's certain requirements that you have to be a part of this business.
Gotcha.
Especially when you had some bad things go on in the company, you know what I mean? So I don't think that there's anything wrong with making sure that people qualify to be in your presence, especially since people have proved otherwise before. I have a daughter, so I find it, I'm really leery of, well, who's gonna be there? Who's hanging around you? You're not gonna be at that house, you know, if nobody there. You know, I'm funny about that. I wanna talk about how you feel about parenting when it comes to that. And I also wanna talk about, you know, your relationships. You know, how did this affect? You know, you got a fiance. We talked a little bit about the 8 years, but I wanna go into more detail, okay?
Okay.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the VAdio Show, and don't you touch that dial. We'll see you after the break.
Someone once said, getting there is half the fun. From downtown to Old Town, Go Past 365 connects you to entertainment, restaurants, friends. Go Past 365. Find out more at gopast365.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the VAdio Show, and we're back with Thou Shalt Not Steal. Now, Miss Athena, when we left for the break, I was speaking on the fact of parenting. When it came to your guardians, when everything happened, and I want to ask you this because, you know, parents are getting younger these days.
Oh, yes.
You know, a lot of parents, they're not done being kids yet themselves. They're not paying as much attention to even themselves, more or less the kids. But it's very important to keep your kids protected. You know, you may see Uncle Johnny as this, but you don't know. And it's no offense to Uncle Johnny, but if it's a little girl, I'm not, come on with me, baby, you just don't know. Yes. What do you feel that your guardians could have done differently to keep you protected? Or do you feel like there was anything?
I can't really say what they should have done different because I didn't know what type of mental situation they were in, if that happened to them before, if they just, but what I would do in that situation is I would report it, because even though you don't want to hurt family members, the best way to get through something like that is to report it, get your child counseling, and listen to your child. Because when I say listen to them, I don't mean listen to them what they say. Listen to them if they start acting out, if they're getting in trouble in school, if they're having bad dreams, if they're wetting the bed, if they're getting into fights with the neighbors. It's things like that that they're actually crying for attention, crying for help, but they don't know how to come and say, hey, mom, or hey, dad, this happened. And a lot of people just be like, well, I don't know why he's acting so bad, or I don't know why she's acting so bad. But there's something behind everything. So if that makes sense. Because I can't really say that the way they did it was wrong. They might have felt that that was the right way to handle the situation back in the day. But nowadays, like technology changing and the world changed, everything changes. People change. You can't do things that we did in 1940s.
Yeah, you got to catch a predator with buku seasons. So that means you got a whole bunch of people out there that's strolling for kids.
Yes. So it's just always paying attention to your kids and understanding who your child is. Because they do things as them crying out for attention. Single mothers with teenager boys, if you have a son that's actually acting out, I would say always try to get them in some type of youth group with around men that they're able to talk to, because if there's a young male that is molested, they don't want to tell their moms that they're molested. That's something that's
They definitely
ego
would tell their
breaking.
homeboys or
You're
nothing like that.
you're a
Yeah.
mom and he's a male and he wants you to look at him like he's a man. He's a
Right.
man of the family.
Right.
He can't come out and tell you something like that. So the best thing to do is you see them acting out and craving for attention, put them into a youth group with the church. There's great youth groups around all the communities. I mean, I just look them up. It's something that there's there for young teenager boys to do. Even with the females, it's easier for a female to talk to a female, and girls are more prone to go and talk to their mom
Yeah.
as opposed to talking to their dad about things like that. But just pay attention to their behavior because that's the number one
Right,
important
right.
thing. So,
Well, speaking of behavior, it affects different people differently. You know, because I've heard a lot of stories from different people. This happens a lot, you know, and it affects people differently, like I said. And you mentioned some ways that it affected you. You know, some people, you know, I know some people say they was born that way, but some people get molested and they go to the same sex.
Yeah.
You know, that's happened a lot. How has it affected you, and how has it affected like your relationships? Because I know you have a fiance. So how has that affected?
it's affected me. Like I said, I don't trust. So it's hard for me to just be like, okay, I trust this person to watch my kids, or I trust this person to listen to my story and not turn it around and use it against me. It really affected my trust more than anything. It affected my sleep. It affected, you know, like I told you, the panic attacks and stuff like that. But I worked myself through that where I don't really have them anymore. I think this year alone I've had one panic attack, which is great for me. Like I used to just couldn't do it at all. But the relationship-wise, yes, I have a fiance. I appreciate him because he deals with a lot with me.
That's good.
And I know I can be hard and unbearing, but he deals with it. And sometimes I'm going to
ask you this because I feel like I got to ask this because you've got a lot of women that's gone through that, okay? And they end up meeting a man. You tell me your man does a good job. How does a man deal with that? How does he deal with it? What should he do? How's your man dealing with it?
If I cry, he gives me that shoulder. If I need to talk, he gives me the ear. Sometimes he might say something, you know, to give me advice, and I don't want to hear it. So, you know, he just shuts up so I can have my way. But sometimes he gives me great advice that I need to hear too. Always he gives me great advice. Sometimes I just don't want to listen to it though. And when I say like trust issues, like, he'll say that I put recording devices in the car.
You've put recording devices
in the car? I had to make sure he was, you know, a great person. So that was my tainted trust. He stayed. So I appreciate him for that.
From understanding, especially you let him know, us as men, if a good man, if you know you got a good woman, you know that you're dealing with some things that you're going to have to kind of work with this woman through, you know? So that's good to know that you got somebody to go through this with.
Yeah, I appreciate him for that.
Now, my last thing, I need you to give some advice or, you know, some statistics, just give the knowledge and something that people need to know about this whole thing.
I did do a little research with statistics showing that child sexual abuse, 1 out of every 4 girls, 1 out of every 6 boys are sexually abused. And 1 out of every 5 children are solicited sexually while on the internet, which is crazy to me. And they get away with it a lot, like a lot of, and I don't get why.
Chris Hansen not there on every situation.
70% are reported sexual assaults occur to children ages 17 and under. The median age is 9 years old. 85% never report. 50% of all victims are forcible sodomized, sexual assault with an object, forcible fondling, and children are usually children under the age of 12. 90% are the people they know. 30 to 40% abused by a family member, and 50% abused by someone outside of the family.
Wow.
Not saying that they don't know them, but a lot of times it's somebody that they know that's just not a family member, 50%.
I'm going to tell you, you know, with having a daughter, if this situation was ever to happen, it'll probably be the end of the VAdio show because y'all ain't going to see me no more. But it's a lot of crazy folks out there. Please give some advice to someone who may have gone through it, and also to a parent.
I say to the children that may have gone through it or are going through it right now, if you're afraid to speak to someone, am I allowed to give my Gmail?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're afraid to speak to a parent, and this is to the adults as well, you can always email me. My email is the number 1, ATHENACOSTON Email me if you need an ear, if you need advice, because you just don't know until you actually go through it. If there's a child trying to tell you something, listen to them. Apologize even if you didn't do it. Hold them and let them know you'll be there for them. Get them help, counseling, because if you don't, it could actually potentially ruin their life. Not everyone is going to fight through what I fought through.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to stand up and say it's not the end of the world. And also, even though it's hard as parents, we will always say that we will, we'll hurt someone for our kids.
Yeah.
But think before you do things, because if you end up hurting someone, you leave your child without you. And that's more important, them being with you as opposed to you hurting the corporate. And of course, prayer. Prayer is always the number one best thing. But there's meditation, yoga to get you through the things that's impossible. Parents, if you know of your children going through something like that, and you're afraid because you don't want people to look at your family like your family's not perfect, or somebody look at you like, how could you marry that monster or something, anything. Because I know it's crazy things that go through our heads as human beings. We're human, so it happens. Don't worry about what the other people think, because what other people think is not important. It's what you do to stop or put a stop to whatever's going on or to help that matters. Psalms 92, verses 12 through 15, I don't know it verbatim, but it speaks about the palm tree weathering the storms and basically keeping your faith with God, and you shall flourish like the righteous in the seas of the Lebanon. Okay, so what that means to me, I had a bishop tell me, it means that anybody that's been through what I've been through, I'm a palm tree. I have been through every storm you could ever imagine. This is a small piece of my story, but it's so much more. Not one storm that I have been through have broken me yet. And no storm will ever break me. I might bend and I might be blown all around the world, but I'm not going to break in half. And I will flourish in the end of this. Like, God is always there for me. He always has me. So with that being said, look at Psalms 92, 12 through 15.
You don't look like you've been through, and I really thank you for sharing
Thank you.
that testimony.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
There's more to come. This is the VAdio Show. This is Thou Shalt Not Steal. Don't you touch that dial.
Live life well at the Myrtles at Old Town. Our spacious apartment homes offer luxury amenities with security access entry. Select homes offer washer and dryer, vaulted ceilings, private balcony or patio. And yes, we are pet friendly. Our friendly and knowledgeable staff will gladly walk you step by step through the process of finding a home that fits you perfectly. No matter the size, 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms, we can accommodate your needs. And while you stroll the property, stop by the clubhouse, where you'll have full access to the movie room, the workout room, the computer room, and much, much more. So whether you like the towers or our garden style, when you see what we have to offer, you'll want to make the Myrtles at Old Town your new home.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to the People Show, the VAdio Show. And we're still talking about the subject of thou shalt not steal. And I have someone here with me that can give me a little more information and you more information on this subject of stolen innocence. Miss Angelina DeBerry, how are you?
I'm good, Trevor.
We go way back.
Yeah, we do.
Further back than people know, do they?
Absolutely, absolutely.
They probably
It's
saw
a
you on the
pleasure.
intro and things like that, maybe.
I'm putting in work.
Putting a little
That's
work
what I
in
do.
it.
That's what I do.
Yeah, you do it well. Now, I wanted to go on with the conversation that I was having earlier, dealing within the family. There are a lot of these situations that go on when it comes to molestation and things like that, and it's hard to deal.
Absolutely.
We had some conversation off the camera, and you seem pretty, I don't want to say well-versed, but you have a lot of opinions on that. Let the folks know how you feel when it comes to, the family structure and how that works.
I do feel really strongly about a couple pieces related to family, because what ends up happening is, I heard you mention that there may be an uncle or somebody that the family knows that that's not one that you want to leave the children around. And because we're specifically talking about childhood sexual abuse, it is important, I believe, to confront those people in those situations. Don't pretend that you don't know that it happens. Don't avoid talking about those situations. People experience this and really carry that trauma for the rest of their lives. I can somewhat speak. I've been trying to do a little bit of research. I had a background situation where it was reported that my grandfather had molested his 2 stepdaughters.
Wow.
My grandfather is now deceased, and I am challenged to talk about that. Most of my family didn't believe it. From what I understand, folks wouldn't talk about it at all. When I was in my early 20s, I had an incident with my grandfather, and he made a comment to me about what he might have done if I were not his granddaughter. And when that happened, it brought to my mind the things that people had said about what happened with the girls. So I actually reached out to them. And at this time, of course, he was still living, but I did reach out to them to ask what happened.
So up until that point, it was still a question, it was a doubt in your mind that, no, not my grandfather.
I didn't believe it. I mean, he did time for it.
Oh, so he was charged?
Yeah, he was charged and convicted, and he served quite a bit of time for it. And I still...
Because it's almost like these people that do this, they're not walking down the street with a shirt on that say, I'm gonna molest you. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, they're different people at work. They're different people when he's, your grandfather doing grandfatherly things or whatnot, but this is a whole different dark side that a lot of folks don't get to see.
Exactly. I actually, before my mother passed, well, my grandfather did pass before my mom did, and I talked to my mom after he was gone about it a little bit, and she just said that it was not, we don't talk about it. It wasn't something that we talked about. We grew up learning that you dealt with it. And I just really thought about all of those things about how maybe culturally over the years, back in the day when young people got married at 13, 14, and you were having these young wives, so they would do this to the girls, or and even though we have to even discuss that boys are abused as well, so you can't discount the fact that boys are abused as well.
And it's hard to get them to sit down and talk about it.
Absolutely, but my mom was just adamant that even she had suffered some things that they didn't talk about. So at what point do we talk about this and start working on getting somebody some help?
Because you carrying a load, and that changes
a significant load.
Who you are, how you handle other people.
Everything.
Everything.
Your whole life is impacted by it, and you can continue to move on and walk through things because we overcome, we do what we need to do. But ultimately, it does have a significant impact on your life. It affects your behaviors. It affects certain types, the ways that you deal with certain things are all affected by certain types of trauma.
Yeah.
And sexual trauma to young children is significant to the rest of their lives.
Wow. There's certain things that, I'm sure that you don't want to speak on, but what happened? Like, what was the situation that happened to you, to kind of give a little clarity? Just what you can tell, the information that you can give.
Part of the reason that I choose not to tell as much,
I got you.
I talk privately, one-on-one, when I'm either mentoring or counseling women who have dealt with sexual abuse themselves. Folks struggle a lot with that. But part of the reason I don't tell is because I have friends today who don't know
I got you.
that their family
Okay.
member offended me, and I see their family member all the time, or they're in their family. There's a pastor. He wasn't always a pastor, but maybe the Lord has dealt with him. But if the Lord dealt with him, should he apologize? I don't know, because
So nothing
I don't
was
know who
said
he
as-
offended
Right.
other than me.
Right.
If that be the case. And this particular person I'm speaking about, I was 11
Wow.
when it happened. So I don't feel like I don't want to do damage.
Yeah, understandable. So I got to ask you, because I know some people may wonder, well, what happened to her? What happened to Miss Angelina, And I do know, we've talked off camera, there's some things that you can't say. So give me whatever you can about what happened to you, but also let me know and let the viewers know, why you can't give the, full reveal on the situation.
Okay. In a nutshell, what happened to me was my mother was a young mother. When I was born, my mother was 13. And we lived with my grandmother for a little bit of time, but then we moved to a place where my mom was by herself, but she was 21, but I was already 7, 8.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
and my mom liked to party. She hung out a lot, she was a sweetheart, but she liked to party.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of men up and through the house that she dated or whatever. So I was offended as early as 4 or 5 by some neighbor.
That was in the house visiting?
Yeah, but this is even actually when we were staying with my grandma. So
Okay.
when we were living alone and it was just me and my mom, a couple other people that she dated.
Wow.
When I was younger, much younger, fondling and things like that. There are a couple situations where people who I know now have family members who offended me, and I choose not to tell my story to that detail level in ways that other people, like folks will go around and tell you, you gotta tell. Maybe if I had told then that exposure could have happened, that person could have been dealt with, those kind of things. But because I'm now an adult, I feel like I'm not carrying the burden because I've forgiven the person, I've released myself from that. I've done some counseling. There are a lot of different things I had to go through to get to a place of being able to even forgive that. But I don't want to damage the way those families may feel about their loved one.
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel like they should carry some type of burden about something that they couldn't control when we all were children. But these people were older than us, so it's not like they were within our age group. Things become so sexualized that you have young people who are playing with each other. And it seems like it's okay, but it's not okay. It's not okay that they have that type of exposure and
things
feeling
like that,
and all that type of thing. We don't want to expose our children to those kinds of things so that they feel like it's okay if
somebody
we're
else
the
come
same
along
age
and do
group,
that.
But if it's somebody that's older, maybe this doesn't feel right. If
Right.
it doesn't feel right, it's
ain't
not right.
Yeah.
And we have to own that and be able to talk about it. And we want to open up avenues for our children and young people in general, even teenagers, 13, 14-year-old girls and boys, to be able to talk about those things openly with someone.
You probably don't remember back at that time, but if you do, you didn't say anything about any one of those incidents. Did you tell anybody about any one of those incidents?
The first couple times I did not. But then I did mention to my mom a situation that happened. And my mother told me, I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. You got any tissue?
It's hard. I think it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
It's very hard to hear. So when this happened, and I told my mom about it, my mom told me that there's no way that that person would have done that to me.
Yeah.
And that I was probably dreaming or something like that, because I was asleep and it woke me up.
Yeah.
I was woken up to it. So after that, I never told her again.
So because you felt like, you're not going to take it seriously.
She's not going to take it seriously. And then because there were multiple offenders, I just dealt with it.
So that's, because I'm trying to kind of take in from the mind of a child, those things happen and you feel like that did you feel like that there was no protection? Like, did you feel like nobody could protect you?
Nobody was protecting me.
Okay. And I guess at that point in time as a child, you don't really know where to go from there.
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you say to a parent whose child comes to them?
First, believe them and listen. And then call the authorities.
All right.
That's all I have to say today.
Okay.
Do it.
All right. We're going to get a little bit deeper into it, and I also want to see how we can get help to those that are going through it, because there's a lot of children who felt like you at that point in time. And I would hate to see people just walk away and not get anything done to them,
Absolutely.
for any crime, more or less ruining a life, before it gets a chance to move forward. But this is the VAdio Show. This is Thou Shalt Not Steal, and we'll see you after the break.
I'd like to know, are you really ready for some super dynamite soul? Check it out.
Hey, for more of the VAdio Show, log on to thevadioshow.com. And while you're at it, subscribe to our YouTube at The VAdio Show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the People Show, The VAdio Show. I'm still here with Miss DeBerry. I'm going to say how are you again like I hadn't seen you before.
I'm well.
Okay, good. We're going to get a little further in this, and then I want to get into some advice for those people that may have gone through the situation. Okay. I want you to tell me a little bit more about the offenses, and I know you have other people in your family that have gone through it. They're not here today, so it's only so much you can say, but just give a word on the situation, because you may have someone that's watching that's in the same position.
One of the things that we've talked about is listening and acknowledging when a person tells you that they've been offended by someone else. So you believe that person in that they said it, but then you're struggling with the person that they said did it.
Right. Because you love that person,
because
you know that
them,
person.
and you don't want to believe that this could happen. You don't want to believe that it could be that way. But you have to believe that it happened, and you have to be able to reconcile for yourself in some way that it occurred, and to deal with how you feel about the offender.
Yeah.
It's important to confront it, talk about it. You may not be able to talk about it as a group, but you have to be able to acknowledge and talk about it one-on-one to each of those parties that are affected by it in order to get some resolution. Because at some point, you may not be able to reconcile it. You may struggle with it and simply have to leave it in some way in order for you to just be able to move forward. But on the sense that in order to have some internal peace, deal with the fact that it happened, deal with what you heard, and confirm and affirm
Yeah.
the person who has told you that this thing happened, so that they would be able to get some healing for themselves.
Now, and this is another thing that I say, and see, I'm a father of a daughter, so at the end of the day, I don't care how nice you are, how cool you are with the family, something got to happen to you if you touch a child, okay? So that's another reason why I feel like that conversation must be had, and now after this conversation is had, what do we do now? Who do we call, and who's going to come pick you up?
Somebody better come pick somebody up.
Yeah, somebody need to get picked up.
Because we don't want fathers to be hurting folks, and then you can't be there for your children. We need you to be there for your children. So yes, it has to be confronted.
Yeah.
There are hotline numbers that people can call, especially for young people. There's, like I said, there's two different situations going here. You have adults who have been offended as children. You need to deal with your offense. You need to deal with what you've been through counseling, through whatever your spiritual center is. You want to use those resources that are available to you to get the help that you need. If a child is currently being offended, that child needs to speak out to somebody. That person may be you. If it's a family member and the family member, the child may not be comfortable telling a family member. Or they may have already told one and they didn't deal with it, so at some point they come and tell another, or you suspect that there is abuse. You can contact your local Child Protective Services division. It's the Division of Social Services. Or there's a National Child Abuse Hotline. It's 1-866-4LIGHT. That is 1-866-367-5444. What they will do is put you in touch with resources in your local community that will help you to find the supports that you need to have workers come to the home to do those kinds of things. It's hard to remove the children from the home, but if it needs to happen, it needs to happen.
Yeah.
In Virginia, the child abuse hotline is 1-800-552-7096. That number for Virginia, again, is 1-800-552-7096. So you want to make sure you make note of those numbers and call for the resources that are available to you in your local community. Tell somebody.
Definitely.
Tell somebody.
Let me ask you, before we go, is there any advice that you'd have for a parent that has just found out that their child was being molested and doesn't know what to do? And also for that child, teenager, or whomever it is that's happening to and is scared to say something about it. Do you have any advice?
Call the police. I wouldn't even recommend people try to deal with that in the family. Don't act like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, the authorities will take necessary steps towards investigations and things like that. Believe that something can happen as a result of what occurred. That person should be punished.
Yes.
The level of punishment should be left up to the courts. But
Not daddy?
not daddy.
Okay.
Because she needs you, daddy.
Yeah, you're right.
So
you're right.
it's very important that you allow the process to take its course. But protect your children. If the person doing the offense is a young person, you still need to look out for resources that are available by calling the authorities. Those young people may need counseling as well if they're offending. Put protections around your children so that they know that they can feel safe and secure even when these things are happening. Whatever the environment may be, sometimes we're so busy going through our things that we forget to acknowledge that even in spite of those things, our children may be suffering.
Yeah.
So protect your young people. Be sure to look out for your kids. Be careful with who you have around them. But first and foremost, if you know that something has occurred, make a report and allow those people to be punished and pay for what they've done.
I totally agree. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the VAdio Show, and please protect your children and keep an eye open. Don't get so wrapped up in your own life and issues that you forget about the lives that you're trying to raise and be better and have a better life than you. So protect your children, call, tell somebody, don't let abuse continue. This is the VAdio Show. This is Thou Shalt Not Steal. We'll speak to you next time.
From a resident at the Virginia Center for Behavioral Rehabilitation. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, your current balance is $30.86. This call will be recorded and monitored. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm
But-
good then. All right.
I guess my first question will be, I want you to explain, because it's very important for people to know about the place that you're at right now. Where are you? Why are you there? And what do they do to help out?
To help who?
Yeah, to help you or anyone that's in your situation.
Where I'm at right now is VCPR, better known as Virginia Center for Behavior Rehabilitation Center.
Okay.
It's for behavior guys that have behaviors, guys who have sex offense, guys who are pedophiles, guys who have some serious bad things that happened to them and didn't understand why it did as children, and now they're repeating what was done to them.
Got you.
Now, the only thing that people can do to help guys like this is give them some more support. You know, for families to try to keep an open mind and not be tunnel vision about why we're here. And we're not monsters. A lot of us are not monsters. A lot of us are here and misunderstood
Yeah.
by the outside world. Now the doctors and the treatment supervisors that are here, they do their best to try to help us to not be in denial as much as possible we can, because a lot of guys here are still in denial. You know, and so this is what this place does. It helps us to face what we done, how we done it, and the reason why we done it.
Okay. And I think that's real important because, like you were saying, the first thing you think about when you think about a man that's been with a child, they automatically count you out. You know, like kill him, whatever. So it's a lot of hate that come your way, but they don't think of it from the aspect of you have an issue, or they don't think about it from the point of what was the source, what made you start doing it. So my first question would be, I want to get into what made you, what you feel like made you start doing what you did. But I guess the first big question that I know a lot of people would ask is, what would make a man attracted to a child? Because a lot of people can't grasp that concept.
And first of all, let me say this. We're not monsters. It's just like a homosexual. When your wires are crossed and you think this is what's supposed to be done, you know, and if you touch a child and groom a child to think, because when you start to groom a child as a pedophile or a predator, and get them to, because see, I understand this, me. I wanted my victim to feel comfortable with me, not to feel afraid of me.
Okay.
But I understand that a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 14-year-old, hormones is all over the place. And so all I have to do as a predator is tap into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make sure that she's aroused and she's okay with it. And the first thing comes to her mind is that this is okay because it feels good.
Yeah.
But morally and ethically, which I know is not true. But so my job is to woo her enough to where that she won't say anything and she might want to do it again. Now, how did I get in that position was that it was given to me the same way I'm giving it to another child. When I was younger, when I was 4 or 5, my babysitter. When I was 7, 8, another babysitter. When I was 11 and 10, a neighbor behind my house. When I was living in Norfolk.
Wow.
You know, and so many people did things to me. I never said anything because I thought it was right. It felt good.
Let me ask you this, because this is the big thing in this episode I'm talking about is parents protecting their children, being watchful. Could you explain to me what could have what you feel like could have stopped that?
The first thing is if you raise your child and you tell them if a man or a woman or an uncle or a brother or an aunt or a grandmother ever touch you and point at it, point at it. So just telling them your private place, you know, that could be anything to a child. You don't understand what they understand just yet. So point at it. Say they have no right to touch you there. You understand what I'm saying? And if someone do, you need to tell me. You cannot tell a child to tell you something and then you still hollering and scaring them and talking about, didn't I tell you go sit down?
Yeah.
Oh, what's wrong with you? You can't, you got two different kinds of conflicts going on. You want them to be honest and open with you, but you also frighten them.
Yeah.
Because you want to put down the authority that when I say go. You know what I'm saying? So they're afraid of that. And so they're not going to say anything to you because they don't want to see that side. They don't want to see you come hollering at them about, why you let him touch you? They don't understand that. You don't need to approach them like that. If you asking your child to tell you if something go wrong, then you always have to be mild-mannered about how you tell them. Why they need to tell you that? Because it's wrong. When I didn't know how to tell my family. You know what I'm saying? When I got older and I tried to tell my family that this is what happened, they told me I was lying.
How did that feel to you? Because I have a young lady that I spoke to, and she said that, and it crushed her when they pretty much dismissed her.
Because who she said it was. They said, oh no, that person would never do that.
Yeah.
No, you lying. Why would a person put that type of allegation on that person about them doing something like that? And you do not believe them. For a person to come out of his mouth or her mouth to say that, then it's true. It's true, especially when they're an adult.
Right.
When they are able to distinguish what's right and wrong.
Yeah. And some of the stories that I've heard, a kid would have to have a crazy imagination to come out their mouth and say those things to their parents and it not be true. You know what I mean?
But you can distinguish when a child is telling the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you how. Because this is what I understand. What you say, okay, let's say a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old child came to talk to you about she's been violated. And she says, what did he do? He touched where I pee at. He put his finger inside me, right? Then what? It hurt. See, these things are true because you know that this child is still a virgin.
Yeah.
You can't, you know what I'm saying? You got to go the extra mile when they come and tell you this and ask you and tell you that they was being violated, and you investigate what happened, right?
Yeah.
Says where he took his finger or he took his penis or she took my hand and this is a male.
Yeah.
If a male come and tell his mother that another female asked him to touch her there and put his fingers in her vagina, and I'm gonna tell you the secret. If he says, "Mama, it had a odor," what would a child all of a sudden say it have an odor? Because he's been around it.
Been there. Yeah.
He's been induced to it. So he's not lying.
Yeah.
When men are being molested, they keep it. They put it in Pandora's box.
Yeah.
And they don't open it until they get older. And before you know it, they're either molested or some other way or form of acting out. Because you put that in Pandora's box and you turn around and open it again.
Yeah.
And now you got these behaviors all over the place.
And you basically pass it on in some form or fashion.
Right. Well, not necessarily, because everybody handles it differently. Everybody deals with it differently. Some do it what was done to them. Some act out. Some act as whores. Some act as have low self-esteem. Some can't get in where schooling is down, attention span is not well together like it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
When you see these shifts in a child, something went wrong, and you just got to be smart enough, mother enough, or father enough, how to tap in and get your child to trust you and tell you what happened. And then on top of that, the child has to see you do something about it.
Yeah.
Just because the child come and tell you and you go act on it, you touch my child, that's not enough. You need to bring the police in it because the child will understand that this is definitely wrong.
Right. This is a serious problem.
Right. Definitely wrong.
Let me ask you this, because I want to find ways, because it's extremely hard to find somebody like yourself that'll speak. So I guess I got to figure out all the right questions that people want to hear, because you can keep people from falling into situations because you've been there. What could have stopped you in a lot of instances from any molestation? What could have stopped you outside of yourself, say with the parents?
Okay, let's say if somebody would have said, listen, I didn't stop peeing in bed until I was 18. Somebody should have been smart enough to understand that something went wrong. I couldn't write my name, and I got a 3-letter name until I was, 17, 15? I was mentally stumped.
Right.
I was always angry. I was always balling my fists up. And that's not a normal behavior.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to pay attention to when your child is acting out the norm. It's not acting the norm and just acting out. Something went down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something went down. And either you got to be patient enough and wait for that child to tell you, or you be smart enough to know how to get it out of them.
And pay close attention. Now I know you ain't got a whole bunch of time. What can you tell a situation where, because it's basically almost like you said you wooed a child. Explain a situation, if you can, where you would do that, how it was done, so they can know, so they can basically hear how this thing happens. Because a lot of people don't understand how their child ends up getting in those positions when it's not forced upon them.
I used the mother. I used the mother. I'm very charismatic and I'm very articulate. And if the child see that the mother is in love with him, then they want some of that too.
But they can't distinguish the love, the type of love.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead. My bad.
And I will use the mother because here you have a 12 or 13-year-old who's starting to develop. If a mother is not sharp enough to understand that she does not need to bring a man around her kids until I'm talking about a year, 2 years later, if not longer, because you really don't know what's his hidden gender. You really don't know what he's got in his closet. You really don't know, even though, because you got police on the police force, you got doctors, you got preachers. They're very well-spoken people and you put your trust in them.
Yeah.
And they turn out to be molesters. And you're shocked.
Yeah.
But somewhere down the line, you have to open up your mind and say, okay, is he playing too much with my kids? Is he always talking about my kids? Is he always trying to get events along with my kids? You got to ask yourself this thing. And then you got to pay attention. Because there's some guys out there who can put on many faces and fool the hell out you.
Yeah.
Really, really fool you.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you done let a wolf in your house.
Yeah. Yeah. When did you know that you had a problem? When did it hit you?
I knew that I had a problem in 1997. After my second victim, she was 9. And I put my hands between her legs and I realized really didn't understand what I was doing. So I left, and I just sit in the car, and I asked, I said, what is wrong with you? I am actually questioning myself about my behavior because all of it is foreign to me.
Yeah.
But later on in the years, I finally got some help, and I finally started facing what happened and how it spent around on me.
Yeah.
And once a predator recognizes what he needs to do and not be in denial and help himself, because can't nobody help you. Really. You got to want to help yourself. You got to want to stop. You got to want not to hurt another child. You got to not want to make a child like you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, brother, I know you don't have a whole bunch of time left. Is there anything that you want to say to parents or to offenders that could be helpful?
Yeah, I want to say to the parents, listen to your kids, even the kids that's not yours. Pay attention to them. You know, when you see them doing stuff that's not adding up, that's bizarre, you know what I'm saying? Just pay attention to them. Reach out there to them, embrace them, so they can start telling you stuff so you can understand. Do not scare your kids. If you scare them, then they'll never tell you anything. They would never tell you nothing. If you put fear in them, they won't tell you because they're afraid that you will be so upset. But you got to reassure them that you'll never be upset with them about them telling you if somebody touched them. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
I tell my boys that. I tell my sons what I'm locked up for. I tell my sons what I've done. Because I don't want them to ever go online and see my face online on a sex offense. And they say, Daddy, what is this?
Yeah.
I need to give them a heads up and let them know that my sickness got me on that website.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I truly appreciate you opening up, taking the time to talk, and taking the time to change, man. It's never too late for nobody to make a change, no matter what you've done. And we just have to, like you said, you have to be willing to make that change. You have to know you have an issue.
Right.
So I think everything that you said was extremely helpful. Honestly, I didn't think we was gonna talk this long. I wish we had more time, man. But just get back in touch with me, and we'll talk again. But I truly appreciate it. Everything you said was extremely helpful, man.
No problem, man. No problem. No problem. I hope somebody out there is listening and really can pay attention to what's going on. And just because BCBR is here, it's not a bad place, and it's for guys who really want to change their behavior. And it really is. And they do have people here who's sincere about every man that's here have a behavior or a sexual problem. This is not a DOC. People can come here and ask questions and talk to the doctors. What I don't know is, can you walk in and sign yourself in?
That's what I was going to ask. That's what I was going to. You transferred there from prison, right?
I transferred here from prison.
Okay.
I went to court. They found me to be a SVP, which is a sexual violent predator. So they sent me here.
Okay. All right. We're gonna check into it and see if that's a place where people can at least call and get some help or get pointed in the right direction. And if so, we're gonna put that information at the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
All right, man.
All right, guys.
All right, brother. Well, God bless you, man, and keep doing what you're doing in there, and come out 200%, my brother.
I will.
All right, man. Well, I'll talk to you again soon.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.